Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to see TNOU M.Sc Psychology first semester MSYS 14 Research Methods and Applied Statistics. In that, we are going to see Unit 5. Okay, so Unit 5, that is sampling. So we've seen already 4 units. So this is the 5th unit. And this 5th unit comes under block 2, that is hypothesis, variables and sampling. So in this we have to learn about population, definition of key terms, sampling, probability sampling, non-probability sampling and effective sample size. So in the 5 topics that I'm going to discuss panna porom. So this video will be bilingual, so it will be easy for you. So what is a sample? So when you talk about a sample, you say that when you go to a shop to try something, so you'll ask them for a sample. Sample means it is going to represent the population. It is going to represent the entire population or the bulk, you can say. If there is going to be a box of sweets, so if you try one sweet alone, it's more than sufficient to tell us the taste or how the other sweets will be in that same particular box. Okay, that is what the sample talks about. Same we are going to do even in research. So researchல sample அப்படின்றது என்னன்னா, இப்போ ஒரு கடையில் போயிட்டு நம்ம வந்து ஒரு பொருள் வாங்க போகிறோம் அப்படின்னா அதுலேருந்து ஆனால் ஒரு சாம்பிள் தாங்க, ஒரே ஒரு தாங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லி வாங்கி நம்ம சாப்பிட்டு பார்த்தோம், இல்லை அதை நம்ம என்னன்னு பார்த்து நம்ம வாங்கும்போது நமக்கு வந்து பாக்கி இருக்கிறதெல்லாம் எப்படி இருக்கும் நமக்கு தெரிய வரும். ஸோ தட் இஸ் யுவர் சாம்பிள். So this sample is nothing but it is defining the population. So இதில் வந்து என்னெல்லாம் அப்படின்னா, ஸோ நமக்கு இந்த ஹோல் பாப்புலேஷனை பற்றி நமக்கு தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். ஸோ ஹோல் பாப்புலேஷனை பற்றி தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறது ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். பிகாஸ் to know the whole population you have problem of the money being spent, the time and the accessibility. If you need to know about all the women, or you need to know about all the men, or you need to know about all the teachers, it is very difficult to get to know about everybody. It is very difficult to contact every single teacher to get information about them. Okay, so what you are going to do is you are going to take a smaller group or a subset. So on the whole population ஒரு சின்ன group மட்டும் எடுத்துக்கிறேன், ஒரு subset எடுத்துக்கிறேன். So that is going to be representing the total population. So that is why I told in the beginning it will represent the bulk. The bulk is going to be the population. So this smaller group வந்து it is called a subset and that is going to be the sample. Okay, so இதான் வந்து நமக்கு sampling அப்படின்னா sampleனா என்ன அப்படின்றது. Now getting into population. So we need to know what is population. Population into the large group of people. So the very large group of people is going to be the population. If I'm going to talk about all the teachers is going to be the population. So teachers you can still categorize. So all that you can do. So how you are going to categorize? So how you are going to select from the entire group of teachers? So all that we'll be seeing in the upcoming topics. Okay, so here you can see that. So this could be all the Indian teenagers, children with autism, professional athletes, or just even human beings. So anything you can take for that example. Now there are some key terms which we need to remember. So on the key terms என்னெல்லாம் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, the first one is going to be sample. Sample is going to be the subset of the population. Sampling அப்படின்றது என்னன்னா, the method in which the sample is selected. So which method I'm going to use to select the sample, that is going to be called as sampling. Okay, so when we need to do sampling, we need to know the sample size, we need to know the representativeness and parameters of the sample. So sample size and so there are 4 factors. There are 4 factors for sampling. 4 factors என்னன்னா, the sample size என்னது, the representativeness. So அந்த sample என்றது யாரை represent பண்ண போறது, so எப்படி இருக்க போகுது, and how you are going to approach, that is the access, and the sampling strategy. How you are going to select a group alone. So வந்து ஒரு particular group மட்டும் எடுக்கணும் அப்படின்னு நான் பிளான் பண்ணேன்னா, how I am going to do that அப்படின்றதா வந்து இந்த sampling அப்படின்றதோடைய 4 factors. Okay, the next one is sample size. Okay, so sample size is nothing but how much you are going to take. Sample size என்றது எவ்வளவு எடுக்க போறீங்க அப்படின்றது. So this sample size, it is going to depend on 2 factors. Okay, the first one is purpose of the study. So எதுக்காக நான் இதை வந்து பண்ண போறேன் அப்படின்றது. Next வந்து nature of the population. So nature of the population and the purpose of study. So இதான் வந்து sample size உடைய இது. So sample size, it is going to depend on the correct sample size depends on purpose of the study, first one, and nature of the population is the second one. Okay, so sample size வந்து it is going to be 30 minimum. So minimum sample size, it is going to be 30 for anything. So beyond 30 you can have any number. So below 30 you will not be allowed to have for anything. Okay, so that is about your sample. So the larger the sample, you will have greater the chance of being representative. So இப்போ வந்து if I'm going to take only 30 அப்படின்றப்போ if the representation might give only few differences. Okay, அதே இது வந்து if I'm going to take bigger data அப்படின்னா then I'll get more clarity or more detailed answers. So where all do we have to use large variables? So where all do we have large samples? Okay, நிறைய samples நம்ம எங்கெல்லாம் யூஸ் பண்ண போறோம் அப்படின்னா, in the case where we have many variables for our research, or only small differences or small relationships are expected. So ஒரு variable 1 க்கும் variable 2 க்கும் வந்து இதுக்குள்ள வந்து only small difference or small relationships are there. And then when the sample has to be broken down into subgroups, the sample is going to be heterogeneous. ஒரே மாதிரி similar இல்லாம different groups அதுக்குள்ளே இருக்க முடியும் அப்படின்னா we have to have more. And then the reliable measures of the dependent variable are unavailable. So we've already seen about dependent variable and independent variable. So தெரியல அப்படின்னா please get back to those videos. You will be able to understand it better. Now getting into sampling. So sampling அப்படின்னு நம்ம பார்க்கும்போது the goal of sampling strategy எதுக்காகனா to obtain a sufficient sample. Sampling is the method. As I told in the beginning, it is going to be the method. So why do we do this? To obtain a sufficient sample. And why are we doing it? Another reason is because it is not easy to collect data from entire population. So எல்லார்கிட்ட இருந்து எடுக்க முடியாது. அதனால I am going for a subset. So in the subset குள்ளார, that is the sample குள்ளார, I'll need to have individuals which are going to be similar to the population. Okay, இப்போ வந்து if I am going to take teachers, நான் டீச்சர்ஸ்ன்னு எடுத்துட்டு பாப்புலேஷன்ல அதுக்குள்ளார வந்து I cannot take people who are working in business, or I cannot take people who are into some kind of office job. So அதெல்லாம் எடுக்க முடியாது because I need only teachers. So it should have characteristics similar to the population அப்படின்றது தான். Okay, so we need to identify the population. அதுக்காக we need to identify the population. So next one இங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. There are like individuals with lung cancer who are receiving treatment and everybody who is going to have the same problem. So இந்த மாதிரி நம்ம பண்ணும்போது we'll be able to see that there will be lot of characteristics among the population. So this is only going to deal with patients. So patients அப்படின்னு நம்ம பார்க்கும்போது the patients will vary in terms of their sex, male or female, socio-economic characteristics, how they are into the society and how their economic background is, and their symptoms. So every person with lung cancer will not have the same symptoms. So they will have different symptoms. So இது மாதிரிலாம் நமக்கு வந்து population குள்ளார characteristics இருக்கும். So we should see that we need to have a similar distribution of individuals. For example, if you're going to take patients, if you're going to take for 1000 patients, you should have at least 500 of male and 500 of female. And in the 500 male and female, again you have people from the economic background distributed in the similar way. Symptoms again the similar way. Only if you are going to have a similar distribution, you will be able to get a even more better data also. Okay, so this is what we are having here, and here they have given some examples. So idhula read panni pathina you will be able to understand. And then you are going to see here. So if that's what I told you. So if you're going to have women and men, rural and urban settings are the எப்படி இருக்கணும். Okay, so likewise if you're going to check with the population of only stage 3 or 4 breast cancer இருந்தா அதுல எப்படி நான் பண்ண போறோம். Okay, so if you need to have large census surveys அப்படினா you need to have extremely large sample. So sometimes if you need to have more data for 3000 அப்படினா கண்டிப்பா 3000 க்கு நம்ம போய் தான் ஆகணும் அப்படினா we need to take. So we cannot say that இல்ல பண்ண முடியாது depending on our need. Okay, that is what I told you, depending on the purpose. Okay, so depending on the purpose we need to take how much ever we need. And there are two methods of sampling. Okay, that is what this entire lesson is going to deal on. Okay, there are two methods of sampling. So one is called as probability sampling and another one is called as non-probability sampling. Probability sampling and non-probability sampling. So in the probability in the word we would have come across in our school days. 10th, 9th we would have come across. Okay. So even in lower classes we would have come across. So what do we learn about probability? Abdina, the best example which we all would have learned is about your dice, about your coin. So if you're going to talk about dice, getting a 3 in a dice, what probability does it have? It has all the probability. Okay. So you'll say it will be 3 by 6, which will be 1 by 2. So that's what. So how are you going to do it? So that is your probability. Coin, getting a head or a tail, it is going to be one of two. So because it will be either head or tail. So in that case, that is how you will do probability. So probability deals with the randomness. So you can get anything. It is not that you will get only 3. You can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anything you can get. So that is what. That is a random. There is a random chance that I will get 3. You cannot even think about it. So non-probability is when you are doing something. You are doing some manipulation. You can say. Okay, and then you are going to go through some kind of strategy, or you are going to take up some strategy to get a purpose, to get into a purposive sampling. So purposive is non-probability. Purposive is, for example, if you feel that you are going to roll the dice in a particular fashion, okay, in a particular strategy, and so that you will get only 3. So you try that. That is going to be that you are doing it with a purpose. You are doing it with the purpose of getting the particular 3. Then it is going to be non-probability sampling. So probability is random sample and non-probability is going to be purposive sampling. Okay. So in probability sampling, you can see that the chances of members being selected for sample are known, and non-probability you cannot say. Non-probability you can make it in such a way that you are going to get only 3 or 6. Abdina, you are going to go towards a purpose. So in that case, the chance of 1, 2, 4 and 5 are not going to be there. So they don't have equal chances. Okay. Wherein this has more chance. So for probability, everybody has equal chances. Okay. So the chances are unknown. The chances are unknown for non-probability. But there, the chances is going to be the same. And it is going to be known. Chances for getting a 3 is going to be 3 by 6. That is 1 by 2. Everybody knows. Because that is random. Non-probability, no, it cannot be known because we follow some kind of a strategy. So now getting into probability sampling. Probability sampling in itself has 6 types. Okay, there are 6 types of probability sampling. So this probability sampling, you are going to see that they will represent a wider group. Okay, so which is going to have a particular section of the wider population. For example, a class of students or a group of students, like you are going to take only those who are going to appear for their NEET exam. So in that case, or a group of teachers, you are going to say only the primary school teachers or only the high secondary school teachers. In that case, you are going to go for a categorization. Okay. So in that case, when you do a probability sampling, there will be less risk of bias. There is no bias here because we are not focusing on getting particular or we're not focusing on manipulation at all. Okay. So wherein if you look at non-probability sampling, there is a bias. So that is where they use the word skewness. Okay, skewness or a bias. Okay. So if there is a skewness or a bias, you say that there is going to be a non-probability sampling. Okay, there are going to be 6 types which we'll be discussing one by one. So first one is simple random sampling. Simple random sampling means like you are not doing any manipulation, you're not thinking anything, you're not using any kind of strategy, directly you're going to like pull. For example, you're doing a kind of a lot system. So lot system, what you're going to do is you have a box, and then in that box you just put all those papers or whatever you need. For example, you need to collect data from 100 colleges. Okay, 100 colleges or 100 schools. So you write the names of all the 100 schools and then you put it in a box. You need to select 10 schools using the simple random sampling. So your sample is going to be 10 schools. So this is going to be your population and 10 is going to be your sample. Okay. So in that case, you have all the 100 here and then you randomly select 10 without even thinking if the 10 will be from the same district, or they're free from the same type of colleges or what schools or whatever may be. You just take 10. You just take 10 randomly, then that is called simple random sampling. Okay, that is called simple random sampling. So just drawing names out of a hat until the required number is reached. So you take 1, okay, 2, okay, 3, okay, like that you keep on taking out from this, okay, until you get 10. In that case, you call it to be simple random sampling. The next one is systematic sampling. Systematic sampling means you write all the list. You write all the list of 100, and then you see that you are going to select only the 10th. Okay, the 10th, every 10th. So 10, and then you're going to take the 20th, you're going to take the 30, 40, 50. Like that you keep on doing till you get the 10 count. Then it is going to be systematic sampling. Okay, so like going to see a particular number, or you are going to like, or if even if you're going to do it even by the lot system, you keep pulling out papers. When you take the 10th paper, you keep it separately. And then you take the 20th paper, you keep it separately. 30th paper, you keep it separate. Like that, you keep pulling, and then you just then you do it. It is going to be systematic. You follow a systematic method of taking all the 10th thing alone. So here they have given you an example. So from 2000, you are going to take 100. So every 20th person can be selected. So sometimes they'll tell, right, like you are made to stand in a line, and then they select, they ask you to read out numbers. So 1, 2, 3, they make you read, and then they tell you all the even numbers come out, or sometimes they'll tell you all the multiples of 5 move out. So systematic sampling is a method. So I am using a particular method, but still I can't clearly think what kind of common thing will be there between all those people who are selected. So again, that there is not going to be much bias, okay, and it is going to be random. So you call it to be systematic random sampling also. The next one is going to be stratified sampling. Stratified is again, you are going to use kind of a strategy or strata. A strategy here doesn't talk about the non-probability sampling use for the strategy. This is something slightly different. So for example, you are going to take 10 schools. Okay, and you see that 10 schools, like 8 schools, is going to be boys schools alone, and only 2 schools are going to be girls schools. You take 10 and randomly you're getting like this. So you use a simple random sampling, and then you are getting like this. So what will happen? Calculating some kind of a data analysis with this will not give you a proper answer. So you are using a strategy that from the 10 schools, okay, or the 100 schools itself, you are dividing it properly into 50 of boys and 50 of girls. Okay, and then you are taking, so and then from this you can take 5 randomly, from this you can take 5 randomly, then you call it as stratified sampling. So you are going to take it based on some kind of a strata or some kind of a strategy into homogeneous group. Okay, stratified into enna enakku vandu ipo 8 boys enakku 2 girls school mattum irundhuchuna and data analysis பண்ணும்போது ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்கும் எனக்கு. ஸோ அதனால நான் ஹோமோஜீனியஸாக எனக்கு வேணும்னா நான் என்ன பண்ணணும் அப்படின்ற மாதிரி அதுக்கேற்று நான் டேட்டா முதல்ல பிரிச்சுக்கிறேன், மெயின் டேட்டாவை. அதுக்கப்புறம் நான் வந்து ரேண்டம் சாம்பிளிங்கோ இல்லை அதுக்கப்புறம் நான் யூஸ் பண்ணுறேன் அப்படின்னா தட் இஸ் கோயிங் டு பி ஸ்ட்ராட்டிஃபைட் சாம்பிளிங். அதனால யூ கால் திஸ் டு பி a simple two stage process. Okay, first என்ன பண்ணா you are dividing it and then it is going to be random. Okay, so it is going to be discrete groups அப்படினுவாங்க. For example, males and females. Second line up on a random sampling. Okay, that these are the 2 stages. Okay, first identify those characteristics which you need. So what you need to appear in the path you will divide. Okay, as I told you, and the 100 vandu you are dividing into 50 girls and 50 boys. Adukappuramete you use the random sampling. Okay, so idha vandu pathinga appadina it is your stratified sampling. Next one, cluster sampling. So cluster sampling enga appadina this will be used in small scale research. Okay, small scale research la vandu you will be using this, and inga enna pannuona you will do again some kind of strategy. Okay, you're going to do some stratifying within a cluster. So what is this cluster all about? So when a population is going to be very widely dispersed, so அங்கேருந்து random sample எடுக்கிறது, it is going to be very difficult. Administrative problems or நிறைய problems வரும். How you are going to do it அப்படின்றது. So what you can do is cluster sampling ல you select a specific number of schools. Okay, for example, you see that there are 100 schools. 100 schools என்னால் பண்ண முடியாது, but I know a comfortable 10 schools. 10 schools எனக்கு comfortable. ஆனா அந்த 10 schools-ல வந்து that is selected on my own wish. Okay, this 10 schools I am selecting on my own wish, but இதுக்குள்ளார I will have to test for all students. இந்த 10 schools-ல போயிட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் I cannot change it. இல்ல அப்படின்னா if I want to do some kind of a stratified sampling inside, I can do that. Okay, so sometimes if 10 schools full all students, if I have to do also, it might be difficult. On the time la I can do some kind of a stratified sampling. So this is you are dividing them into clusters. Okay, because if you need to do it only in a particular district or in a particular geographical location alone, and the இடத்துல மட்டும் you are going to take and then you are going to work on it அப்படின்றப்போ you're first clustering and then you are doing a random sampling or stratified random sampling, whichever you need. Okay, the next one is stage sampling. Stage sampling அப்படின்றது என்ன அப்படின்னா, this is an extension of cluster. நம்ம clusterல என்ன பார்த்தோம், we are dividing it in terms of schools ன்னு பார்த்தோம். So schools la what I can do is I can take only certain classes. For example, I take only the middle schools. Middle school children மட்டும் I'm going to take அப்படின்னா, so இந்த middle school children மட்டும் நான் எடுத்த பிறகு I am going to do it on the students of these particular classes alone, and that is called stage sampling. It's an extension of cluster sampling. So selecting the sample in stages. So from the large community, this is a large community example in cluster sampling lende you have one type of stage sampling. edukku appadina number of schools lende you are going to select the number of classes at random. So in the classes vandu you can select it at random and then you can do it. From that you are going to select a group of students. Okay, so that is your stage sampling. This is all done to reduce the number of samples also. Okay, the next one is multi-phase sampling. Multi-phase sampling is you are going to do few more, you are going to divide and then anga vandu you are going to check on various other things like in a particular region alone. So schools le pathina not everybody will be from the same location. அங்கே they will be from urban semi urban locations வரது கூட வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. ஸோ அப்போ அதுலேருந்து I can take their economic criterion I can take, or political criterion from areas where they have a particular political party being dominant. So அந்த மாதிரி if I am going to divide it into different phases, that is extension of the cluster sampling la, that is going to be called as multi-phase sampling. So this is all about the probability sampling. Okay, so next one the non-probability sampling. So non-probability sampling la pathina there are 5 types. So inga vandu pathinga appadina the 5 types la pathina they are going to be targeting a particular group, knowing that it does not represent the wider population. That is non-probability, because non-probability sampling is called purposive sampling. Purposive sampling appadina you have a purpose, you want to target a particular group alone, knowing it will not represent the wider population. So you can see that there is no generalization. There is no generalization here. Okay, and it is going to be targeting on a particular group. So why we do this abdina, we are going to do this for ethnographic research, action research and case study research. For all these type of research we are going to do it. And now we are going to start with the types of non-probability sampling. The first one is convenience. Convenience sampling is the main thing which most of the researchers are going to do. Okay, so convenience sampling is when, for example, if I have to do from 10 schools appadina, I will have access to 10 schools. I will have access to 10 schools. So on the 10 schools I can select. So I need not go to the 100 and then I need not go here. So if I feel that I have friends in 10 schools who can help me in collecting data appadina, I can conveniently go and approach those 10 schools and get data from the teachers belonging to those 10 schools alone. Okay, so here I am going to look on the easy access. So what is going to be accessible easily for me? So that is what is my convenience. The name says it all. Okay. So convenience sampling, it is also called accidental or opportunity sampling here. Okay. So they are finding out what is best. So what is best and what is easy அப்படிங்கிறது that is your convenience sampling. The next one is quota sampling. Quota sampling is something which is similar to the stratified sampling. Quota sampling, it is something similar to the stratified sampling. So, again significant characteristics I need to check. Even if I'm going to convenience, if I have to check for male and female, I have to check for male and female. So, on the இடத்துல I have to use this kind of a quota sampling. So, அதுதான் quota sampling. So, here again you have 3 stages. So, there are 3 stages for quota sampling. The 3 stages என்னலாம் அப்படினு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, stage 1 identify the factors which need to appear. So we need to have as male and female, Asian, Chinese, Afro-Caribbean and the மாதிரி. Second one another proportion. Do you need it in equal proportions, or if one needs to be more and one needs to be less and the மாதிரி. So next one the percentage of proportion which will be selected from the wider population. So you also need to see that this should also represent the wider population properly. If you are going to divide it in the ratio 1:1, but the population fulla it is going to be in the ratio 2:1 abdina, you can't take this. That is your proportion. The proportion should be checked properly. That is your stage 2 and 3 talking about. Okay. So ensuring correct proportions might be difficult. Okay. So for that you will be doing a pilot survey. So pilot survey பண்ணிட்டு அதுல when you do the data analysis, you will be able to check if you have done it properly or not அப்படின்றது. The next one is going to be purposive sampling அப்படின்றது. So purposive sampling is going to be what is your non-probability. Non-probability is what purposive. Purposive is again you go for a purpose. So you want to do only on the principles. Okay, or you only want to do on a particular senior managers. So in that case you are going to be more particular and you are just going to handpick the cases, okay, based on their typicality, based on their commonness. Okay, so that is what you do in purposive sampling for a particular purpose alone. Okay, so here they are giving you an example, a group of principal and senior managers to study the incidence of stress. So you need to find the stress among senior managers. You have to take only senior managers. You can't take other people at all. Okay. So that is your purposive sampling. The fourth one is dimensional sampling. So dimensional sampling edukku appadina, it is to reduce the size in quota sampling. So reduce the size in quota sampling. So what is quota sampling? Quota sampling is stratified sampling. So stratified in pomodu again you will have more. Okay, so again you are going to reduce it, or you can say that dimensional sampling, you can say it is going to be similar to your cluster or stage sampling in kuda sollalam. Okay, so that is going to be a dimensional sampling. So for example, you need to do a particular sampling, so wherein you are going to do a particular race relations. For example, so if Asian இதுல இருந்து வரவங்க இல்ல ஆப்பிரிக்கன் இதுல இருந்து வந்திருக்காங்க அப்படினா, so அதுல if you're going to take a research about all the African immigrants or all the Asian immigrants அப்படினா, அதுல you can't take directly for everybody. So what you can do is you can divide them into first generation immigrants, second generation immigrants, third generation immigrants. In the mother, if you're going to divide, you will be able to get another kind of data. So with the ethnic group and all these things, it will help you for a dimensional sampling. You're going to go in for more dimensions. So like your stage sampling we did. Okay. The next one is your snowball sampling. Snowball sampling is when you are not able to reach that particular group of people. For example, you need to go and talk with people. If you need to go and talk with people who are in the prison, okay, you can't go and approach them directly. Okay, so what you will do is, but you know that you know what you need to get and what data you need to collect and all. So you may not be able to go and approach them directly. You will not be comfortable, or maybe you are not allowed to access those people. So what you can do is you will appoint people. You will appoint people who are called as informants. Okay, you will appoint people who are called as informants. So they will identify, and then they will be able to collect the data. So they will collect the data for us. That is, you do not go and directly access them, but then they will be helping for you to get the data, and then to help you in pursuing with your research work. Okay, or if there is not much communication, you can't go to that particular place, you can appoint people who are more into their same community, or they are a part of them, so they'll be able to get information. So that is your snowball sampling. So wherein we use informants, okay, to identify and put the researchers in touch with, and they have to be trained. They'll have to be trained on what we need to know and all. So this is useful for a sampling a population with access is difficult, because it is sensitive. Okay, for example, you need to go and talk with a small child or some teenage children who are in some trouble, or who have crossed trouble. So in that case, you cannot go and talk directly to them. They will not be able to give you the data. So in that case, you will be using this, or where communication networks are underdeveloped. Okay, so next one is the final topic here in this lesson, that is your effective sample size. So we already saw about this. Minimum is 30 we saw. Okay, so for this you have a formula also. Okay, this formula is going to be small n by capital D. So it is going to be sample size and the design effect. Sample size divided by the design effect. Okay, this is design effect is for every design, every kind of design we use, it will have experimental design, non-experimental, so many things are there. So with that you will have a change in the data. So this n by d will help you to know the sample size. Okay, what amount you need to do. Okay, so here in this you can see that you have three main areas of application here: survey, time series, and Bayesian statistics. So this will also be discussed later on when we see the experimental, non-experimental design and all in the unit 7, 8 and all. We'll be seeing this. Okay, so here you can see survey is when you collect data from a bigger group. Time series is when you are going to collect the data within a particular time, or which happen in a particular time and all. So Bayesian statistics is something wherein you apply the probability for the hypothesis. Probability is being applied to the hypothesis which is going to be framed. So within that, when we are going to do, for example, or you can say that you are going to use a mathematical language even to the hypothesis. Okay, so there you are going to do something, then that is going to be called as Bayesian statistics. So the next one is the sample size. Again, it's the sample size is going to measure the number of individual samples. So minimum sample size is going to be 30. So whatever you take, minimum it is going to be 30 always. Okay, so that you will have to do it, you will have to calculate, you will have to get the value. Okay, and then every time you can't say that it is going to be only this. And the next thing is, if you are going to collect data through a questionnaire, you have strongly disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree. Sometimes there will be chances that you have the questions 1, 2, 3 and so on. Sometimes when people are filling this form, what they will do is randomly they will put tick only for this, or a person might do only for this. So in that case, these kind of data we cannot include, because these data are going to be incorrect. Okay, so in that case, if you are going to take for 100 samples, there are chances that 20 of them will be like this. So we should not include this. We should not include this. So we need to take only the balance 80. That is your effective sample size. Okay, that is your effective sample size. That is why they say that if you need to take for 500, if you need to do a data analysis for 500, then you have to collect from at least 1000 people. Only then, out of whatever is rejected with these kind of reasons or some other reason, you will have at least 500 proper samples. okay, which will be the effective sample size. So that is what is given here. Okay, so effective sample size, when you do, you will have to quantify the effect of weighing. So if you have 1000 people, effective sample size may be only 500. So in that case, you will do the amount of sampling error will be equivalent to what is going to be got for 500 people only. If you are going to do, you need not calculate about the error. If you are going to do for all the 1000, then you will have to calculate for the error also. Okay, so what we will do is, we will not take it as 100, we will do it as 500 itself. That is why any researcher, if you ask, if he has to do for 600, he will do for at least 1200 samples. Only then he can reject many and he will get only for 600 samples. Okay, so this is all regarding the fifth unit, that is sampling. Okay, I think from this fifth unit you will be asked questions like give the type of probability and non-probability sampling. Okay, so those kind of questions might be asked. You will have to just write it. So that's all about this lesson. So we'll see the next unit in the upcoming video. Thank you everyone.